Hi, this is Beard, and this is a very quick, on-the-spot reply to Shad from Shadiversity, about his deb- debunking of the Klingon Bat'leth. And he has 2 points that are, or several points that really need to be taken into account that I don't think he had. And the first thing is Klingons are humanoids. They're in the basic shape of a human, but internally they're very different. And we had several examples of that in Star Trek, where Klingons get severed spines and they walk it off, basically. And they have incredibly complex bone systems. You can see it on their forehead, you can see it in the back and the rib cage. They are very well protected. Okay, a simple slash or a cut probably would not go through. The main cuts we use, in specifically in HEMA and other things, are to the head and to the shoulders, rib cage. That will probably just not work using the same type of tools we use to cut up humans. Probably they cannot try to cut against a boar or an elephant with the long sword. You can't cut it. By the time you do that, he'll just run you through 7 times. And the other thing you should consider is the context, as Matt says. Klingons are any other spacefaring race except for humans, at least the main ones in Star Trek, have been on using spaceflight for centuries. It means that all their systems, all their weapons, all the culture is around that. Specifically, the Klingons would use a lot of boarding actions, a lot of close quarter fightings. So utilizing weapons to specifically fit that context is much more fitting. So what do you have with a Bat'leth? You have a kind of short weapon with 4 or 5 prongs. Sometimes you have a middle prong, sometimes you don't have. Both at the ends, and they're kind of curved forward. And that reminds me of 2 weapons we see here on Earth. The first one is the Warhammer. Warhammer is a kind of shortish polearm used by armored warriors in hand-to-hand combat. That means that these people would not be very vulnerable to cuts, and would use the leverage, or the either leveraging with the pole, with the staff, and subduing their opponent, or trying to hit and penetrating with a forward-facing spike or pole. And that's pretty much what we have. We also have the Chinese dagger axe that looks the same thing. You have a long stick with a dagger, a sharp point at the end, and that could generate a lot of force that could be used to break through those very hard bone structures. A broad axe might not have that power. It might be spreading it too much, and especially swords might be just too light to do that. What else you need to consider is close quarter fighting. That really pushes the way to short weapons, like here we used cutlasses or boarding pikes, or it's still pretty short as a pole weapon. It was really short, and you wouldn't have a place to swing a long sword, or might even swing a katana in a corridor of a ship. So having the weapon in front of you to defend, having your fingers defended by the blade itself, might actually be pretty on point on what you want to achieve. And you can't forget that using both the butt end of the Bat'leth, if you hold it and swing it with one hand, or hold it in 2 hands, that could also be used pretty much like a very strong curved rondel dagger to punch through someone's defenses, someone's bones. And what else you mentioned was the development of parrying daggers. And you just showed one, the Klingon version. I forgot the name of the knife. It's a very traditional knife, and it has a nice big rectangular edge and 2 prongs on the side that jump out. It's exactly the same functionality in the high-tech Klingon design. So, in conclusion, the Bat'leth isn't that bad in its context, and the context is very tough to crack humanoids on very small and crowded corridors on spaceships, not on an open battlefield, not walking around a town, and facing. Well, that's about it. So, see you later. I hope someone watches this. I haven't been uploading at all lately, but I'll be back with some human reviews and LARP reviews pretty soon. See ya.